Okay, guys, so you have been working on the newest assignment, which is assignment 10. And on that project, you are given a whole week to really create your own edits and make them look as awesome as you can. So, this over here is what you started with, very plain, very lame, no design, no edit to it. And the font is by default at Arial. Do not leave it Arial because you can do better than Arial. You're editors now, and you have all of these fonts here to choose from. So you might as well dive in and start using them. So what I did is I started looking at some of the projects you guys have been turning in, and I've been giving you feedback a little bit. So right now, every single one of you who have started this project, there's still room for improvement. There's still more edits that you can make to make this even better and make it more complete. So we're going to go through a few that have been turned into me that I've looked at, and we're going to kind of analyze them together because that's what you're going to do with your work, before it's all final. So we're going to look here at this slide. This is one that's been turned into me already. Looking at this, I truly think it's awesome. And the reasons why, it has all the elements that I'm asking for that make the text pop out with a really catchy design. So here you have word art that's nice and thick. It's got a nice thick border. It has a drop shadow. And then behind that is a basic shape element, which you could insert here. And that shape element gives you contrast because now you have light text against a dark background. And that's exactly what you want to do when you are working with text. You want it to pop. This right here is pretty cool because we just have a basic shape that's shaded in with a transparent blue, and that gives this that very blue falcon look. So that is awesome. Really no room for improvement on that one. Now looking at this one here, I'm loving the background. It is cool, but the text could pop a little bit more, meaning we could use a little bit more contrast. So here's one thing that we could do. And if you have something that looks like this, make this change yourself. Select the text because right now it's dark against a dark background and you want to have that contrast. So you would go up to the text color and make it light. So if you click off of that, we've got light against dark. Now, here's another thing that you can do because there are still light parts of that background where the light text is kind of blending in. You could take this text box and resize it a little bit, drop it in the middle, use your arrow keys to move it around too, and you can fill that text box. It's now squeezed in, it's a little bit smaller. You can make that a dark fill, go back up to your paint bucket, and this time customize it, make it a little bit transparent, and now you've got that text popping. So now the focus will be drawn in on those words and not the background that loses the words. You could squeeze that in a little bit more there. And there we go. Looking at the next slide here, I'd say everything's looking good because your text is popping, the words are standing out. Maybe just one little thing that you could do is make that bolder so it stands out a little bit more. And remember, don't stick with Arial because you can do better than Arial. Make it maybe something that's going to pop out a little bit. Maybe if it's a thick font, then unbold it and go on with that. All right, we're going to look at this slide right here. I'd say for this slide, the readability is good, meaning we've got the colors are all right, but we have way too much space over here to work with because when you look at this slide, your focus shouldn't be on the background. It should be on the words. So what I would do is maybe resize that a little bit, go in because you have more room to work with now, and make all of that text bigger, make it grow a little, and then resize that box back down, maybe drop it all in the middle. And again, using those fill effects, if you like the red, you can stick with it. Maybe make it a solid red with a little bit of custom transparency like that so it kind of pops a little bit more. And with your word art, do the same thing. Maybe use a border color that's not gray, but it's black. Go in there, make it black, and maybe make it a little bit thicker. Apply a drop shadow, adjust all this good stuff. And there you go. Now you have something that pops a little bit more. Looking at this slide here, this could definitely use some work because we've got a busy background and there's dark parts of that background and the text is dark and it gets lost in that background. You would probably want to go in and do a shape and make that shape slide behind your word art. So by default, it's going to be gray. You go in, maybe make it dark, make it custom, kind of like the text box below. And then to take that shape that you just inserted and send it back behind everything else, 2-finger tap, order, send back, and now you don't want to leave the dark blue against the dark black because you don't have contrast. Maybe lighten that up with a real light pastel fill color. Now it's popping. And again, don't use it as Arial. Maybe choose something else like this. And already we're seeing a bit of an improvement. It could still use some work, but I just wanted to show you guys, what you could look for. This slide here, I'd say this is awesome. We've got good contrast. We have dark text against a light transparent fill. As you can see, all I'm doing is just resizing some things to give yourself a little bit of space around the words. Maybe this thin line you can make a little bit thicker for your word art. Make it a little darker. Now it's popping more. All right. I'd say this next slide, same thing, pretty good. Maybe just bold it, add a thicker border, make that border black instead of gray. It's popping more now. This slide here, I definitely want you guys to look at because it's very clean. It's very neat. But right here, we've got light text against a light transparent fill. So simple fix would be maybe take that, instead of making that box a light fill, make it maybe like a dark green. And then come down, make that transparent. And now you have light against dark. The thicker the word art font, the better. I'm going to try Titan 1. There we go. Now what we can do, again, make it a thicker border. Maybe apply a drop shadow that's a little bit less transparent and a little bit more distant. Now we've got that popping out. This is the kind of stuff I want you guys to ask yourself as you go through and look at everything again. So go ahead and open up your slides that you're either still working on or the ones that you already turned in and make some changes. You are fine-tuning it now and doing what you can to just sharpen up those edits. This one right here, loving it. We've got a nice fall background. We have the drop shadows. Again, maybe just a thicker border will make it pop a little bit more. If you do that, you can make it even bigger. If you make that bigger, you might want the word art or the shape behind it to stand out. Just little things like that. So what I want you guys to go ahead and do is you still have a couple more days until this project is due. Take advantage of that time. Go in and find something to change or more than one thing to change on every screen and just keep making it better. And then once you feel that you've fixed everything up, then go ahead and submit it and have fun editing and exploring while you work on this.